Hi, I'm Maddie. Welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be talking about how I practiced gratitude for 365 days, one full year, and sort of my experience with it and what I gained from it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the video. First, I'm going to discuss how I practiced it each day because I know that there are many different ways to do it. I chose to create a gratitude spread in my bullet journal every single month, and each night I would write at least one thing for that day on the spread that I was grateful for. It could be anything as small as just being grateful that the sun was out today, or that you got to go outside and get fresh air, or it could be as big as something like a college acceptance letter or getting to go to a concert or sporting event. Just at least one thing that you're grateful for. But if there's more than one thing, then I would highly encourage writing as many that come to mind down. I think it's important when you're practicing gratitude to not force it. Like when you're writing, don't think like, oh, I have to write down that I'm grateful for this. Just whatever you first think of, that's what you should write down. Now obviously there might be some days where you've had a rough one and you have to think about it and it might feel a little forced. But generally speaking, I think it's better to just sort of write what comes to mind, even if what you wind up writing down might not be what you're most grateful for that day. It just is what flows naturally to you, and that's really important. Also, I did this every night right before bed, which I think is a great time to practice gratitude because it forces you to reflect back on your day and sort of think about all the positive things that happened instead of the negative. Sometimes if I'm doing my bullet journal before bed and I'm working on the mood tracker and I'm feeling kind of down at that point, I might mark it as like an average or below average day. But I always try and do my gratitude first because when I reflect on it, think, oh, well, this, and this happened. Today really wasn't such a bad day. But of course, sometimes, you know, you inevitably have a really bad day where it's hard to come up with anything and it might not be the best to reflect on it, but generally I think that reflecting on your day and focusing on the positive aspects is great to do before you go to bed, so that way you're kind of ending on a happy note. And just in general, this process taught me just how much we have to be thankful for. I think whenever people generally think about gratitude, they kind of focus on big events in their life, like, wow, I'm so grateful I got into my dream college sort of thing. When each day there are small things, like I said earlier, the sun being out, getting fresh air, getting to go exercise, something like that. All of those are things that we should be grateful for and tend to take for granted on a day-to-day basis. But actually writing those things down, I think, helped me not take them for granted as much, because there are days where it's cloudy out, you don't have time to exercise. Maybe there's a stretch where it's really rainy, so you don't get outside and get fresh air for a long period. I also really enjoyed reading back through my gratitude spreads, because if there was a day where it was hard for me to think of something, I would read back through what I had previously written to see if that sort of sparked something that I could write down. And it just kind of put you back in the moment of like, oh, on this day I got to see my friend for outdoor coffee. And it kind of just sparks back those positive notes, because essentially if you keep a gratitude journal like I did, at the end of the year you're going to have at least 365 positive things that happened to you that year that can make you happy, instead of just focusing on the mood tracker aspect and you're like, oh well, I had 10 bad days in November, must not have been a good month. You know, I think it's just a nice positive keepsake to have and reflect on. And with that being said, I think overall it just really changed my perspective and allowed me to focus more on the positive, because as my mom sometimes likes to remind me, I can have a negative outlook on things. So I think that this helped me create that positive outlet for myself, which I have struggled to in the past. I definitely plan to continue practicing gratitude and would encourage you all to try it out as well. I don't think that you necessarily have to write down things every single day for gratitude. I think that just the mind process of reflecting on positive aspects and being grateful in that way can be really good. I know that my mom personally keeps a separate gratitude journal, but she doesn't bullet journal. So you could create a separate notebook so you have unlimited space and don't really feel pressured to keep it concise. But I do think writing in concise sentences is nice because then when you look back on it, you're immediately reminded of those positive things instead of having to read, you know, like a paragraph to figure out the few things that you were grateful for that day. You could also create a much more artistic setup where you like draw things that you're grateful for, or just write the things instead of where I write like a sentence each day. It's totally up to you on how to implement it into your life. Like I said, I would encourage you all to do it because there have been a lot of positive outcomes for me. And overall, I think just being grateful for everything that we have is so important, and 2020 has definitely taught us to sort of savor those small moments and not take them for granted, because a lot of what we took for granted every single day was in a way taken away from us. I thought that this would be a good video to share with you all with the new year coming up. I know this is probably kind of on the short side, but one of your New Year's resolutions could be to be grateful more, or to be more present with the positive aspects in your life. I don't know, whatever you want to do, but I hope that this video sort of helped you understand how to implement gratitude into your life and what I gained from it. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and let's just keep the spirit going in the comments. Comment at least one thing that you are grateful for today, and while you're down there, be sure that you're subscribed and have the bell turned on. That way you can be notified every single time I upload a new video or go live. All those things really do help my channel grow, and I'd appreciate it so, so much. I will see you in my next one. Bye!
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast.
It's not about personality matrixels and charts. It's all about the bumps in your heart.